Hi, my name is Brian Thacker. I'm the author of Tell Them to Get Lost. In my book, I used the original 1974 Southeast Asia on a Shoestring Lonely Planet guidebook as my only guidebook, as I followed Tony and Maureen Wheeler's footsteps through East Timor, Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, Burma, Laos and Singapore. For me, the best part of the trip was meeting the people who were still around from that old guidebook from 35 years ago. For example, in Ubud, Bali, I went to a restaurant in the old guidebook. Tony had written that there was a little old lady cooking in this tiny kitchen. 35 years later, that same old lady is still cooking in that tiny kitchen. And to speak to these people to find out how their lives had changed in that time and how where they'd lived had changed. For example, Ubud only had 3 restaurants back then. Now there's hundreds of restaurants. Back then there was only ducks wandering down the street. Now there's thousands of camera-toting tourists. So it was really interesting meeting the people. Also in Jakarta, I met the manager of a guest house that in 1974, they were the only guest house in the street. And now the whole street is full of guest houses. But when he first opened up, everyone in the street said he was crazy. Why would you open a guest house? And now they're all making lots of money from the tourists. The place that probably changed the most was Phuket in Thailand. Back in '74, in Patong Beach, there was only one place to stay, which was the Patong Beach restaurant, and it wasn't even a hotel or guest house. You paid 11 cents to sleep on the floor, and 8 cents extra if you wanted a mat to sleep on. And now there is over 35,000 hotel beds in Phuket, so that's changed dramatically. The place that probably hasn't changed the most, besides in name, is Rangoon in Burma became Yangon in Myanmar, but the city itself hadn't changed. It was run down and falling apart, and in 1974 it's just a bit more run down and falling apart. I stayed in the same recommended place to stay, which was the YMCA, and that was still exactly the same. It still had the same sheets from 1974 and the same stains on the sheets too, I think. The highlight was undoubtedly travelling with Tony Wheeler. Tony Wheeler joined me in Ubud in Bali, and he recommended a motorcycle jaunt in the old guidebook, so that's what we did. And he's mad on a motorcycle, I couldn't keep up with him. But also Tony Wheeler, who's worth a couple of $100 million, we were staying in guest houses that were $4.50 a night with stain sheets, and he just laughed and I thought it was wonderful. But I got so many great stories from him and about what it was like for him travelling through Southeast Asia with Maureen in 1974.